In the summer of 1976, New York City faced one of the most terrifying crime waves in its history. A mysterious gunman was stalking the streets at night, targeting young women and couples sitting in parked cars. No one knew who he was, why he was killing, or when he would strike again. That man was David Berkowitz, later known around the world as the Son of Sam. David Berkowitz was born Richard David Falco on June 1, 1953 in Brooklyn, New York. His biological mother, Elizabeth Broder, gave him up for adoption shortly after birth. He was adopted by Nathan and Pearl Berkowitz, a middle-class Jewish couple who raised him in the Bronx. His childhood appeared normal from the outside, but David grew up feeling abandoned and confused. When he was told at a young age that he was adopted and that his biological mother had supposedly died during childbirth, he felt unwanted. That pain followed him through his teenage years. Teachers described him as bright but troubled. He became withdrawn, angry, and obsessed with setting fires, a known early warning sign for violent behavior. After high school, Berkowitz joined the U.S. Army in 1971. He served 3 years stationed partly in South Korea. While he was a disciplined soldier, he never seemed to fit in socially. After his honorable discharge in 1974, he returned to New York with no clear purpose or direction. It was during this time that his mental state began to deteriorate. He worked a series of ordinary jobs, including as a postal worker, but lived a lonely life in a small Yonkers apartment. He later claimed he became involved in occult activity, believing he was hearing voices that urged him to commit violence. Whether those voices were real, imagined, or simply an excuse, no one knows for sure. The first confirmed shooting occurred on July 29, 1976. 18-year-old Donna Loria and her friend Jody Valenti sat in a car outside Loria's Bronx home after a night out. Suddenly, a man walked up to the driver's side window, pulled a revolver and fired. Donna was killed instantly and Jody was seriously wounded. The shooter disappeared into the night. Over the next year, similar attacks spread across the city, in the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn. The weapon was always the same, a .44 caliber bulldog revolver. The victims were mostly young women with long brown hair or couples sitting in cars. Panic spread quickly. Women cut their hair or dyed it blonde out of fear of fitting the killer's pattern. Lovers stopped parking in quiet areas. The press gave the unknown gunman a name, the .44 caliber killer. In April 1977, after another double shooting in the Bronx, police found a handwritten letter near the scene. The letter was addressed to NYPD Captain Joseph Borelli and was signed Son of Sam. In it, the killer mocked the police and described himself as a monster. The chilling name stuck, and from then on the world knew him as the Son of Sam. The killings continued. On July 31, 1977, Stacy Moskowitz and Robert Violante were shot while sitting in a parked car in Brooklyn. Stacy died and Robert was left partially blinded. It would be Berkowitz's last attack. A massive task force of over 300 officers was now dedicated to catching him. The break finally came from a simple parking ticket. A witness had seen a man near the Moskowitz crime scene loitering close to a yellow car. Investigators checked parking tickets issued in that area, and one was linked to David Berkowitz of Yonkers. On August 10, 1977, police surrounded his apartment building. When they approached his parked Ford Galaxy, they found a .44 caliber revolver, maps of the crime scenes, and a letter threatening future attacks. Berkowitz walked out calmly and said the now famous words, "Well, you got me. What took you so long?" At the station he confessed immediately. He told police, "I am the Son of Sam." He claimed that a demon, speaking through his neighbor's black Labrador dog, commanded him to kill. The bizarre story dominated headlines for months. In May 1978, David Berkowitz pleaded guilty to 6 murders and 7 attempted murders. He was sentenced to 6 life terms in prison. For many New Yorkers, the nightmare was finally over. But for the victims' families, the fear and pain would never truly disappear. More than 40 years later, the man once called Son of Sam spoke again, this time from behind prison walls. What he said changed everything we thought we knew. Over decades in prison, David Berkowitz mostly stayed quiet. Then, in the 1990s, he announced he had found God. He said he had repented and began calling himself the Son of Hope. He joined a Bible study group, mentored other inmates, and wrote letters of apology to victims' families. Many people dismissed it as a publicity stunt. But in a series of recorded interviews between 2016 and 2023, Berkowitz revealed new details that became known as his final confession. He finally admitted that the demon dog story was a lie. "I made it all up," he said. "There were no demons. No talking dogs. It was just me. He said he invented that story to appear mentally ill, hoping to escape full responsibility. I was desperate for a way out, he said. I wanted the world to think I wasn't really evil, that something else made me do it. Then came the most chilling truth. His real motive was anger and envy. I was lonely, he said. I was angry at women because I felt rejected. When I saw couples laughing or holding hands, something inside me snapped. I felt they had everything I could never have. He described driving through New York at night, weapon on the seat beside him, searching for targets. Sometimes he circled blocks for hours, watching for a parked car or a solitary woman walking home. He said he never planned specific victims. He attacked whoever appeared in that dark, random moment. Each time he pulled the trigger, he claimed it gave him a brief rush of power. Then guilt, then fear, then the urge returned. It was like I was stuck in a loop, he said. The more people feared me, the more control I felt. But inside I was empty. When asked why he wrote taunting letters to police, Berkowitz said it was about attention. For the first time in my life, people were talking about me. I was somebody, even if I was a monster. He admitted he followed the news daily, clipping headlines about his own crimes. I liked being on the front page, he said quietly. I liked that they couldn't catch me. But he also said that by the summer of 1977, he was exhausted. I knew they were closing in, he said. I wanted it to end. When they found that ticket on my car, I was relieved. After his arrest, psychiatrists evaluated him. While they agreed he had severe mental problems, they found he was competent to stand trial. He was not insane. He understood right from wrong. When he entered prison, he says the silence hit him harder than any sentence. At first, I didn't care if I lived or died, he recalled. But then something started to change. He began reading the Bible, attended chapel, and formed new habits. He says the turning point came when another inmate told him, "David, God can forgive even you." At first he laughed. Later he said that sentence broke him. In letters and interviews, Berkowitz explained that finding religion didn't erase his guilt, but it made him confront it. He said, "I'll never be free and I don't deserve to be. But I want to spend the rest of my life doing good where I can." He now refuses all parole hearings, saying, "I don't belong out there. This is where I have to stay." Inside prison, he runs Bible study programs and helps other inmates learn to read. He says that is his way of trying to give something back after taking so much. But not everyone believes him. Survivors and families of victims often call his remorse meaningless. One mother of a murdered girl said, "He can pray all he wants. It won't bring my daughter back." Berkowitz understands that sentiment. "They have every right to hate me," he said. "I took their children. There's nothing I can say to fix that." Investigators have also questioned whether Berkowitz is still telling the full truth. Over the years, rumors have circulated that others might have been involved. Berkowitz denies it. "No one helped me. I acted alone. Every bullet came from my gun." Despite inconsistencies in earlier statements, evidence shows the shooting stopped the moment he was arrested, supporting his claim that he acted alone. In his later interviews, Berkowitz described his mental state in simple terms. "I was consumed by darkness, not the kind with demons or devils but the darkness of my own heart. Hate is like a fire. Once it starts, it burns everything." He said he often dreams about his victims. He remembers their names. He says he prays for their families every day. When asked if he believes he deserves forgiveness, he shook his head. "No. Forgiveness isn't for me to ask. It's for God to decide. My job is to live with what I did." In his prison writings, he often warns young people about isolation and anger. "If you feel hatred growing in you," he wrote, "talk to someone. Don't let it eat you alive. I did, and look what happened." In the recordings, his voice sounds calm, almost ordinary, but every sentence carries the weight of 6 lives lost and countless others scarred. He ends one tape saying, "If I could go back and change everything, I would. But I can't. I can only tell the truth now and hope that someone out there learns from it." That, he says, is his final confession, the truth that the so-called Son of Sam was never possessed by demons, only consumed by his own hatred, loneliness, and desire for attention. Today, David Berkowitz is 72 years old, still behind bars in New York. He has been denied parole multiple times and no longer applies for it. He accepts he will die in prison. "That's justice," he said. "Those people didn't get a second chance. Why should I?" Still, he continues to write letters to victims' families and crime researchers, urging society to focus on early mental health support and youth outreach, so that, in his words, no one else ever becomes another Son of Sam. Conclusion. The Son of Sam case forever changed how America understood serial killers. It reshaped police investigations and led to Son of Sam laws, regulations preventing criminals from making money by selling their crime stories. But beyond the laws and headlines lies a deeper lesson. Evil often begins quietly in isolation, anger, and neglect. David Berkowitz's final confession stripped away the myth of demons and revealed the truth of a broken man whose hate destroyed lives. His words, however sincere, can never undo what happened, but they serve as a stark reminder that the most dangerous monsters are sometimes entirely human. As Berkowitz once said, "There was no Son of Sam. There was just David, and I let the darkness win."